Okay, so NFL predictions. We all love them, right? And since I had so much fun on my last predictions video, I'm back in the ring for round 2, ready to make fun of more people for some awful NFL takes. And I say we start right away with a classic moment from Super Bowl 44. Now, I want you to put yourself in this scenario. It's 2010 Super Bowl 44 between the Indianapolis Colts led by Peyton Manning and the New Orleans Saints led by Heath Evans. If you know anything about this game, you probably know that the Saints took gambles the entire time, most famously their successful onside kick at the start of the second half. However, the Saints also tried to put as much pressure on the older Manning throughout the entire game, sending multiple blitz that Peyton Manning diced up with ease for the most part. Now, with that said, the Saints were able to take a 7-point lead with just under 4 minutes remaining, the ball in the hands of the great Peyton Manning. And after what appeared to look like one more blitz coming from the Saints, commentator legend Phil Simms hops on the mic and says,
I'm going to say this, 2 weeks ago, the Jets, you kept blitzing, it cost you. If I was the New Orleans Saints, I would not blitz him, I would put the extra guys in coverage.
Phil, my guy. I know you used to throw the old pigskin around back in the day, but you were a little bit off on this one. Because mere seconds after Phil Simms says that statement, Peyton Manning drops back, gets hit with a all-out blitz, and makes a rare mistake resulting in a game-winning pick six. I'm gonna need you to hold this one real quick for me, Phil. Now let's look at Skip Bayless and the time he sold his soul to the media due to his unhealthy fetish with Tim Tebow. Now, if you remember back during Tebow Mania, people were absolutely losing their minds over this man. Everyone and their mother thought Tim Tebow was going to be the next future face of the NFL for the coming decade. And to be honest, I can see why people thought that, as he did lead the Broncos into the playoffs and even more importantly went up against Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers on a last-second touchdown. The only problem was, he couldn't throw the ball. And Skip Bayless seemed to overlook this fact, as he stated that if there were 2 minutes left in a game, and the game itself was on the line, he would rather have Tim Tebow at the helm than Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. And in response to this, Stephen A. Smith's blood pressure, caves in, and he falls back in his chair and ascends to another plane of being. Now, you could just say this was classic Skip Bayless just doing his thing, but this next guy, he has nothing to gain from this. First, let me take you all the way back to a very distant year of 2017. This year, the Cleveland Browns were coming off of a dominating 1-15 campaign where their best player was Isaiah Crowell. So as you can see, this Browns roster was absolutely packed to the brim with talent, and everyone assumed that this team would be dominant the next year just as they were the year prior. So this guy, whose name I'm going to hide to not defile the name of his family, stated that looking at their schedule, the Browns have a good chance for 8 wins and a reasonable chance at 10 wins. So, this Browns team that had won 1 game the year prior went on to win a whopping 0 games. None. The best moment from this entire season was your coach jumping in a lake because of his own failure. And just to add on another patty of meat on this burger, he also says that he expects a smattering of wins to come from the scrubbier teams we play, like the Vikings, who were not scrubs that year. Now let's take a step away from the dark depths of Reddit and look at another famous guy who's got a microphone, Colin Cowherd. Now take one step forward from 2017 and let's go to 2018 and the NFL draft. If you can remember that draft, there was a pretty big quarterback controversy as to who should go number 1 between Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and Josh Allen. And one man, one brave soul, went against the grain of the NFL community and said that Josh Allen, the potential league MVP this year, will go number 1 overall to the Browns. Now, the only problem with that is that he said that would be a huge mistake if the Browns took him number 1 overall, and that would allow the New York Giants, who had the 2nd pick, to take Sam Darnold, which he said would spark the next dynasty in the NFL. Now, Josh Allen didn't go first overall. Instead, Baker got taken, and the Giants decided to go with Saquon Barkley, the better player to Sam Darnold by just a smidge. Darnold would then be selected by the Jets, where he would be crucified for his sins and then thrown out to Carolina like a used cum rag. And the most ironic part with this statement by good old Cowherd is that if the Browns actually did take Josh Allen first overall, then they would have had a real chance at being the next dynasty. Now, they're the Browns, so it wouldn't have happened, but you get the point. Now, let's stay on the topic of Sam Darnold for a few more minutes, and let's look at what one Hall of Fame quarterback said his career could have possibly turned out to be in Carolina. Now, the man that I'm talking about isn't some prophet like Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless, but a former very, very good quarterback in the National Football League. It just turns out that after all those years of getting shellacked in the quarterback position, some of those brain cells may have been fleeting over the years. Because instead of making a prediction, Terry Bradshaw made a statement about Sam Darnold and the future of his career. So the year is 2021, and Sam Darnold had started off the season for the Panthers and won his first 3 starts in a row. And not only that, but he played really well in those 3 games, throwing for 888 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception with an overall quarterback rating of a respectable 99. We all knew that Sam Darnold coming out of USC had all of the skills imaginable to be a successful NFL quarterback. And regardless of circumstance, he was just not able to prove that at the professional level. And that didn't change in Carolina as his hype quickly fell off and the Vanilla Vic mindset died down. But before all that, Terry Bradshaw, the Hall of Fame quarterback for the Steelers and one of the most insightful NFL analysts I've ever heard in my life, went on air and before his 4th ever game as a Panther said this.
A guy that has everything I want to see in a quarterback. I think Charlotte has hit on the greatest quarterback in their franchise history.
The best quarterback in franchise history. What? Sam Darnold had one more good game for the Panthers against Dallas in that game and then fell off the face of the earth getting benched in week 10 after an injury. So Terry, little off, just a little bit. Now, one more thing. Let's look at our good buddy Adam Rank and see what he was up to at the beginning of this year. If you're unfamiliar, Adam Rank every year does a sort of projection thing for every NFL team and tries to predict their record to the best of his abilities. The only problem is, he's not good at it. Last year was bad for him, but don't worry, things got a lot worse. I mean, there's just so many I could go over. He had the Chicago Bears, who were actively tanking in the offseason to go 10-7. He had the Packers, who arguably lost the best player on their offense and defense going in the year, going 12-5, as well as the Vikings, who only got better to go 7-10. Not even sure if I can give him crap for this, but he had the duo of disappointments in the Broncos and the Raiders, both winning 12 games respectively. And arguably the worst of them all, he had the New York Jets led by Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson winning 3 games. No. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe and turn on notifications because it really helps the channel out a lot. And if you like this video, then watch this video right here on every NFL team's best moment ever. It's pretty good, trust me. Anyways, until next time.